Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Nathan Fox, that's Ben Olson, together with the founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. This episode is going to release on November 2nd. That's the same day that October LSAT scores come out. We wanted to give you an episode that would help you to evaluate or understand your official LSAT score and maybe make a plan going forward. So what should people be thinking today, Ben, as their scores are released?
Okay. Yeah, you're going to get a score, right? Let's say you get a 162. You just got to take a look at that score and see how that compares to your recent practice test scores. If it's within the range of your recent practice test scores, then there's nothing to be surprised about. If it's below your practice test scores, then you should be planning to take it again. If it's above your practice test scores, well, then congratulations. You still might want to take it again. If you're willing to prep more and bring up your practice test score average to that range or higher, then you should, probably take it again. But that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, I think step one is like, where does that official score fit into your range of recent practice test scores?
Yep.
And if you don't have a range of recent practice test scores, which many people don't, you should.
You shouldn't have taken the test, but don't worry about that now. It doesn't matter. It's happened, and let's practice and then bring your score up and take it again when you're ready.
Right. So if the score is low compared to your recent practice tests, then you had a bad day for whatever reason. I would certainly obviously be thinking about a retake. You might be signed up for the November LSAT. I think you should take the November LSAT frequently, and this is a huge mistake. People are like, well, I was happy with my range of practice test scores, but then on my official score, I got lower, or I got like near the bottom of my range. So I'm going to take a bunch of time to prep. I was going to take the next official test, but I've decided not to because I need more time to prep. And they think that the reason they need more time to prep is because their official score was low in their range.
They give the official score more weight than their practice test scores.
Exactly. Right. The error there of logic is you should prep more if you're not happy with your range.
You shouldn't prep more if your official test is somehow lower.
Right. If your official test is like in the low, let's say the bottom quarter of your range, well, you should score in the bottom quarter of your range 25% of the time by definition. And so it doesn't mean anything. It's just one data point within your range. And if you like your range, then you should take the test officially. Again, you don't necessarily need to do different prep.
I would keep prepping.
Right.
You might as well keep edging up your range. But yeah, you're ready to take it again. The other mistake that a lot of people make, especially in November, I think, is this: they have 1 foot in and 1 foot out with admissions. So they're planning to take the test again, but they're also at the same time submitting apps to other schools. It's like, no, just focus on getting your best score. That may happen in November, but it may happen in January. I don't know. Let's get the best score on record. And then when that happens, look forward and decide when to apply. Yeah.
If you score way below your range, this happens sometimes too. You know, like this student, they could have been scoring 168 to 174 on their practice tests.
Mm-hmm.
And then they scored 162 on their official test. What do you think about that student?
Oh, they probably tried too hard to do a perfect test on test day. But yeah. I still think their range is their range. And if they're happy with that range, they should take the test again. Just stop giving so much respect to the official test.
Well, yes. And I would add in that specifically in that case, which it happens like a lot, you did something different on your official test than you did on your practice tests. Like if you score, something like, because you hear wild shit, right? Oh, my last 10 tests, they were all in the 170s, and then I scored 162.
Yep.
What? That shouldn't be really possible.
Yeah.
And so that means to me, clearly, you just behaved differently. So what did you do differently? What was different about it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just like, there's so many different things that you can do, right? There's two different types of perfectionism that happen on official tests for people who are, maybe they weren't taking their practice tests seriously enough, or maybe they're taking the official test too seriously. But one way or the other, they either, they shoot for 180 in one way or another.
Or the top of their range. They shoot for the top of their range.
They shoot for the top of their range. And so one bad problem with that is that you might rush trying to finish more questions than you can comfortably, accurately finish. And so be honest with yourself. Did you underperform because you tried to shoot for the moon on the official test? Did you do too many questions? You were sloppy. You thought you were doing it right, but you just weren't solving the questions. And that's why you missed so many of them. That's one way that people fuck up the official test. Another way, though, is that they take way too much time on individual questions. They end up doing far fewer questions than they did on average on their practice tests. And so then again, because of triple checking, because of just like obsessing on each question, they just don't finish nearly as many questions as they did on their practice test. And that can be another reason why you would dramatically underperform on your official test.
Yeah. I mean, another thing, and I don't think this is as common, but sometimes we get surprised, or I'm surprised by people who say things like, oh, yeah, when I was doing my practice tests, I sometimes gave myself extra time.
Yeah.
Like, what?
That's another one. Yeah. Oh, well, I would pause it if there was a distraction or, if it's like I needed to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
Well, okay.
But you're thinking about that game while you're going to the bathroom, and then you come back and it's like, oh.
Yeah. You need to take your practice tests a little more seriously in that case. We've just heard people straight up say, oh, well, I gave myself some extra time.
Yep.
I wasn't going to quite finish. So I let myself finish those last few questions on each section.
Yep.
Well, shit, you're not going to have that extra time on the official test. So obviously you're going to score higher on your practice test than you are on your official test if you're not taking your practice tests seriously enough. All right. What would we say to somebody who scores at the top of their range?
It kind of depends on what that is, right? But first of all, great. Congratulations. If you take it again, you'll probably be lower than that unless you change your range. So to take it again, you really have to change your range. You have to move your range up and then take it again.
Yeah, the entire range. You want your good days to be a little better. You want your average days to be better. You want your bad days to be better. You're not going to narrow the range. Shooting for consistency is just bullshit. It's just not a thing. You need to be instead thinking about improving your entire range. I'm imagining a bell curve and people shifting their entire range over to the right. The entire curve moves. That's what LSAT prep does. So if you scored high, like if you scored, sometimes people score the best they've ever scored on their official test.
Absolutely.
At that point, it's sometimes a good time to just declare victory.
Yep. Either declare victory or go back to the drawing board and push up your score and take it again. And that's why I say it depends on what score they got, because sometimes people come to us and they're like, hey, guess what? I got the best score I ever got on my official test and I got a 160. And it's like, okay, that's awesome. I'm so proud of you. But do you want to apply with a 160? Where do you want to go to school? And do you want to go for free? You're not going to do it with that score, so you need to do better. Or are you? And if you are, then great.
Anything else you want to say about score release date?
Nope. Except maybe if you're feeling stressed or panicked or any sort of negative emotion, just take a deep breath and realize you can, in the vast majority of cases, try again. So look forward.
And by the way, if you're looking at this on YouTube, you can always just comment right below the video. Let us know what you scored. LSAT Demon staff do monitor our comments on YouTube. We don't normally engage in dumb debates, but if you have questions about your score and what you should do next, you can participate there in those comments, and we'll take a look at it and hopefully get back to you with some helpful stuff.
Cool. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.